All right, everybody. Happy Monday. And it is Valentine's Day. We are here at the Body, Mind, and Soul show here on PromoShow.com. We've got an amazing event planned for you guys today. And right off the bat, we're starting it off huge. And I don't want to give too much out. But right away, we're going to have a nice little presentation here from an amazing organization. This is My Brave. And we have Marlon and Aaron here with us. And I am actually going to jump off the screen here and let Lori take it over and do some back end stuff. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them up in social media. I will be monitoring all of that while this little presentation is going on. And stick around for after the presentation. We'll have a little bit of housekeeping on where you can go to see the rest of the show today. So we'll see you guys shortly. Lori, go ahead.
Thanks, Brandon, and welcome, Marlon and Aaron. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Marlon and Brandon are from an organization called This Is My Brave. And when we were putting on or organizing the Body, Mind, and Soul show, I was trying to come up with a nonprofit that would be a great match for our theme. And the mission of This Is My Brave is to empower individuals to put their names and faces on their true stories of recovery from mental illness and addiction. So taking care of ourselves is paramount, and that is exactly what This Is My Brave is trying to help people do, is to take care of themselves and to reduce the stigma around mental health and addiction. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to introduce you to Aaron, and then we're going to hear a little bit from Marlon. And he has been gracious enough to share his video, his story with all of us. So we'll be sharing that in a little bit. But to get started, Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about This Is My Brave, how it came to be, and what you guys do?
Sure, of course, Lori. Thanks for thinking of us and thanks for having us today. I'm Erin Gallagher. I'm the interim executive director of This Is My Brave. And I just recently took over from our co-founder who also functioned as the executive director for 8 years. Her name is Jennifer Marshall. And the whole idea for This Is My Brave came out of her own lived experience with bipolar disorder, which she encountered when she was 26. She was a young woman, young professional, living her dream post-grad, in a great job, and suddenly came into an episode that was eventually diagnosed as bipolar disorder. And that led her on a path of some really rocky years that involved hospitalizations. She was hospitalized several times as she was forming her family. She was having kids. She faced hospitalization at that time. And she really was struggling to stay hopeful about her situation. So she turned to the internet and went looking for stories of other people who were living through bipolar disorder, and found a community there of people that were writing about their experiences. And she was inspired to start writing herself about her own experiences. So she started a website called Bipolar Mom Life. She didn't put her name on that writing. And it was only later that her website was discovered by What to Expect When You're Expecting. And they invited her to write an article for their website. And they asked her for that event to put her name and her face to her story. And she, although she was nervous and reluctant and very worried about what this would mean to her and her social circles and her professional circles with her family, she went ahead and did it. And what, in fact, she discovered was that she just felt like this incredible outpouring of love and support and encouragement and appreciation. She had people reaching out to her, telling her that her sharing her story with her name and her face attached to it was really inspiring for them. And so that got her thinking, like, if I can have this experience, this thing that I was afraid of, it turned into this really wonderful moment for her in her life. It really gave her a lot of hope and inspiration. If I can have that experience, maybe I can offer the same to others as well. And so she and her co-founder, Anne-Marie Ames, came up with this idea of doing a stage show. It's a theatrical presentation where people share their stories in a creative way, either through creative storytelling, poetry, song. You'll see Marlon's is a very unique version of the storytelling in the creative essay way. but people get on stage, they have the spotlight to share their story the way that they want to share it. And they do it for themselves. So they can, that moment of disclosure is really a very powerful, like taking back the story, taking back and ridding the shame from the story, and really actually surrounding it with like some hope and inspiration, but also to offer that kind of hope and inspiration to the people in the audience who are watching. If they themselves are going through something, they feel less alone, having seen other people on stage doing this type of storytelling. And if they haven't been through something, but maybe they know someone who has, they can be more encouraging to that person as they love and support them through a challenge that they may be facing. So that's where it started in 2014. And here we are in 2022. We've had over 80 shows, live and virtual, of course, because of, 2020, and we've had nearly 900 storytellers on our platform, and Marlon, of course, is one of them. And we really couldn't be as successful as we are without the brave of these storytellers like Marlon. So this is people like Marlon and all the other storytellers we've had on our platform are the people that give me such inspiration every day to go out and keep doing the work that we do. Just so we can break down the stigma and offer people hope so that they will seek help for what they're going through.
I'm so excited to share Merlin's video. I watched it and it gave me all the feels. And it's just amazing that there's this platform for people out there and a community that exists to, bring people together to help work through these things. So before we get to the video, I did want to ask Marlon a couple of questions. The first one, Marlon, is how did you first hear about This Is My Brave? How did you become involved?
I was actually acting in a local play, that's a community theater play, and one of my castmates is a local social worker at the Kroc Center, and we were talking about mental health and just like actors' mental health and the different personalities and substitutions that you think of mentally. And a couple days later, she had sent me a Facebook link for the auditions for the This Is My Brave show in Valparaiso, which I ended up auditioning and performing with in 2016. So I had never heard of the organization before, never heard of any of the stories. And granted, it was very new in 2016, but I thought about it for a while and had been struggling with my own journey of PTSD since I got out in the military, even though it wasn't military related. And went ahead and auditioned for it. And through the writing process, came up with the creative way in which I told the story when I went through my closet. And that'll make more sense when you watch the video. But it's just, my journey began when I started with This Is My Brave. Like, I learned so much more about the community, about myself, about ending the stigma, about starting the conversation, about everything that This Is My Brave stands for. And I use hashtag storytelling saves lives on a weekly basis on my Twitter and my Instagram and everywhere I can, because it's so true. It's so true. And it really has saved mine and helped mine and improved mine in a lot of ways.
Oh, all right. Without further ado, then, I'm excited for people to hear your story and see your performance, and we'll come back at the end.
Hi. How often do you look at yourself in the mirror and think, yeah, I like what I see? Now, how often do you do that when you're naked? Right. It's a little bit different. It's easier to say when you're dressed up, like right now. I'm in a suit. I like suits. I'm a fan of them. But even though I like what I see way more than a suit. Like, the first event I wore this for was when I got married to my eventual ex-wife. After the divorce, I didn't really wear it until the second time I wore the suit, which was in the first play that I acted in here in Indiana. I played a Japanese guy who didn't speak English. Classic. Fun fact, I'm not Japanese. I'm Filipino, which is often identified as Asian, but whatever. And anyway, I'm about over the suit, so I'm just gonna take it off. In spring semester of my senior year, I was 17. And I realized I wasn't going to go to college because with only a 3.5 GPA, Why would a college accept a failure like me? Thanks, Mom. So I enlisted because I needed to get out of the house for multiple reasons. Yeah, I joined the Navy to give young teenage Marlon some freedom. These are my summer whites. They're actually my favorite uniform, and I wore them in a musical in college. I proudly identify myself as a veteran, and overall, my enlistment was a positive experience. It really was. Yes, I live with PTSD. No, it has nothing to do with my deployment. After I got out of the Navy, I moved back to California, and I started at a community college. One of the classes I elected to take was women's psychology. In that course, one of the topics that stood out to me was sexual harassment and rape. Now, on board a submarine with an all-male crew, sex was something that was often joked about. The environment was testosterone-filled and misogynistic, to say the least. But I'm a guy, and I'm supposed to want sex, right? Like, why wouldn't I want it? I'm a guy. Well, there was a time when I didn't, and I did know her. And years later, when you learn that it's actually okay to say no, and that consent is a real thing, it changes everything. Now, when I was 10 or 11, I got in trouble for a less than stellar report card. Being Asian, this meant I got B's. True story. So I'm at home, I'm getting my beat down, and all of a sudden my mom stops. And I think I'm catching a break. Except she brings me into the bathroom and tells me to stand on a stool and look at myself, which doesn't seem so bad, except for the fact that she also ordered me to strip down and stand there naked. Facing my reflection, she asks me, "Do you like what you see?" Naked and sobbing, salty tears running down my cheeks, onto my chest, and onto my feet. I told her what she wanted to hear, but it was also the truth. No. But that wasn't enough for her. She made me run laps around the house, still naked, and every time I came back to the bathroom, I stood on the stool, and she asked me again, "Do you like what you see? Do you?" The answer was always no. But this wasn't about my report card or my body. Eventually, I learned from it. For years, I hated looking in the mirrors. I feared being naked in front of other people. It took me well over 20 years to learn how to love myself, and I'm still learning. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my bouts with depression and addiction and self-acceptance, and the good thing about that is that I learned from it. I learned from all of it, and I learned how to forgive. I learned how to accept who and what I am, and that was a huge, huge step for me. But I also learned how to forgive, which was a huge deal. And to remind me to forgive my mother, I got a tattoo, and it says, "Give is divine." Now, when I get ready in the mornings and I see myself, I can honestly say that I like what I see. I see a man who grew from a fiery childhood. I see someone that has lost a few battles with depression and addiction, but is still winning the war. I see a man with stories and scars and tattoos, and I can cover up as much or as little with whatever I choose to wear that day. But I know who and what I am when those layers are gone. The suits, the uniforms, the abuse, addiction, insecurities, all of it. Do I like what I see then? Yes, I do. But I'm still learning. We're all still learning.
Wow. I've watched it probably a half a dozen times. and every time I take just something else out of it. And it's inspiring, Marlon. And I watch it and I think I didn't even know you when I watched it the first time. And I thought how proud I was of you and how brave you were. And brave is the first word that came to mind. Was it takes such bravery to put yourself out there and share your story. So since that, for storytelling, what impact has This Is My Brave had on your life?
Oh, I could go on for hours, but the short version is I've learned more about myself and my journey with mental health. I've learned that there is a large community of people that are filled with love and empathy and compassion that want to share with each other. There are people that didn't even know that they want to share with each other. And even like, it's not like I did This Is My Brave in 2016 and everything's happily ever after. Like, no, like I had a suicide attempt in 2019. Had a hospitalization. I found out I was diagnosed bipolar type 2. You know, like I've gone through multiple hospitalizations for medication adjustments. But the thing is, I always come back for more help. I ask for help. I know there is help. I recognize that I can't do it myself. And my wife and I together gladly, we're very lucky, but also at the same time, very afflicted, as we are both living with bipolar disorder and PTSD and major depression, that we lean on each other very heavily, but we also have to be very careful that we don't dump too much. So one of the most important questions we ask each other is something I also ask my friends when I want to vent is, do you have the bandwidth for this? Do you have the mental space for me to share right now? And even though someone may not at the time, someone will, whether it's a therapist, a teacher, a coworker, a waiter, a bus driver, a police officer, definitely teachers. Teachers are some of the most compassionate people I know. And there's always somebody that'll be willing to help and willing to listen, willing to hear your story. And if you've never told it before, the most important thing you can do is tell it to yourself and write it down, even acknowledge it and own it and bring it into the universe. And then you can bring it with other people. And feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Marlon D. De Leon. You can reach out through This Is My Brave. If you want to get in touch with me, it's I will listen. If it's at the point where you don't know who else to talk to, even if you've looked at other crisis lines and suicide prevention lines and veterans crisis lines and all of those, because a lot of those are good 24/7 opportunities. But if you want an actual person to talk to, if I have the bandwidth, I'll listen. I'll text with you. I'll tweet with you. I'll do whatever I can.
I love it. I think that, like you said, asking, reaching out, knowing that there is help out there and that you're not alone and you're not the only one feeling this way or going through these things makes such a huge difference. So thank you so much for being you and sharing you with all of us. And I want to give Erin just a minute. There is some research that supports what they're doing and how it helps and how it impacts. So I'm going to give Erin a minute to wrap up with that. And then she's going to share how people can reach out to them, how they can get involved, how they can, see what's going on in their local communities. There is actually, I think the auditions are virtual and still going on through the end of this week for a Boston-based show that's coming up. So if there's anybody out there from the greater Boston area and you're interested, I think can go to their website for some more information. But I'm going to pass it over to Erin to wrap up. And thank you both so much.
Of course. Erin? Yeah, so the Boston area show is a high school edition. So this would be for high school students who are ready to share their story and give hope to others, which can be really powerful. There's also a New Hampshire show that they're accepting. They're doing Zoom auditions. So you could check out our website for upcoming events for auditions in your area. We have a full slate of shows coming in the fall. So we'll have more information about those shows in just a little while on our website. So I just wanted to point out, number one, you mentioned the mission is to empower people to use our spotlight to tell their stories in a creative way on a stage in front of a live audience or virtually sometimes. But our vision is that we won't have to call it brave. One day we won't have to call it brave to speak openly about our challenges with mental health and addiction, it will simply be called talking. So that's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to accelerate things to get there as fast as we can, because we need that in this world. Another thing I wanted to note is that we do have scientific evidence that This Is My Brave is more than just a show. It is, in fact, technically a contact-based stigma reduction program. And those are the most effective in terms of stigma reduction. So when people hear the stories on the stage and they see the person standing there who's disclosing and sharing, that can make others feel less alone. And that's key. We've heard that several times today, to feel less alone, and more inclined to ask for help. And for the person who is taking part in the storytelling, it makes them feel more empowered in managing that story and transforming it from one of potential embarrassment or shame to one of inspiration, where they really feel they've just shifted that story for themselves, and it feels better within them, something that they feel more inclined to disclose. So people who've been on our stage are more likely to share their stories again and again after having done so on the Brave stage. So that's what we're doing. And so if you're interested in finding out more about what's going on with This Is My Brave in the future, or we have a lot of former storytellers, those videos are shared on our website. You can go to visit us at thisismybrave.org. And you can also follow us on social media. You can look up at This Is My Brave on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter online, so you can just hear from us and hear as things are developing and things are unfolding in our world. You'll be the first to hear about them through the newsletter.
And I'm sure, Erin, you are always probably accepting of donations and sponsorships for your shows and your programs.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
if there's anyone out there who loves what you heard today and you're feeling inspired and you are interested in sponsoring or making a donation, you can reach out to Erin as well, and she can point you in the right direction for that. So I'm just so impressed by what you guys are doing. I love the idea behind your program, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Lori. It's so
Thank
good to
you.
be here. Thanks, Brandon, for doing all the work behind the scenes. And Marlon, it's always great to see you.
Thanks for having us, Lori. Brandon.
You're welcome. Happy Valentine's Day.
All right, you too.
We'll see y'all.
Bye.
Wow. All right. So that is amazing. I mean, every time I watch that video, this is like, I mean, because we, had to set all this up, this is probably the third or fourth time I've watched that video, but it hits hard every single time. That is fantastic. Such a great story. Oof.
Yeah. Such a brave story.
Well, so that's one way to start a show. So welcome everybody to the Body, Mind, and Soul show. We have started. We had a nice opening there. If you missed any of that video, if you caught the end of it, it will be up on all of our social media platforms. We are broadcasting live on Promo Corners Facebook page, on PromoShow's Facebook page, Promo Corners LinkedIn, and also Promo Corners YouTube page. So there are a ton of places you can check all of this content out today, but we appreciate you being here at PromoShow.com for the Body, Mind, and Soul show. A little bit of housekeeping here. I know it's probably been a while since you guys have been to one of the promo shows, but all of the squares below you are the suppliers, and they are there live in their booth to be able to chat with you via the keyboard or to have video meetings with you. So they are there live today from 11 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. We will be having some more things pop up. Let me see if I can find my schedule here. Lori, how about you? You probably know the schedule better than I do.
Okay, so we do. Today at 12 noon, we are going to be having a few distributors from our new piece of content called Picks of the Week. If you're not familiar with it, Picks of the Week is a weekly article, I guess I would call it, kind of bloggy, I don't know. And we have 12 distributors who work in teams of 3, and they're given a theme, and they have to pick their favorite products around a different theme. So we have Mandy Clay from Walker Clay and Kevin Mullaney from Brandito, who will be joining us. Renee Jones from A Creative Touch was supposed to be joining us, but she had a Valentine's Day commitment. So I will be standing in for her. I should have brought a crown because it's the queen of promo. So we have them coming up at noontime. And then at 2 p.m., we have Cliff Quicksell, who is going to be doing an education session on selling wellness. So if you are a distributor and you're looking for some creative ideas to sell wellness products to your customers, you'll want to tune in at 2. And this is all Eastern time. And then at the end of the show, we have a bunch of giveaways. So we have a few sponsors who have donated some great self promos. We have, I'm trying to think if I have them all in my head. I might have to come back to you on some of these. We have lip balm from Raining Rose. So you could get 100 lip balms with your logo on them. And we have the spray hand sanitizer that comes in those little like flat things from our friends over at TechWeld. And then our friends at Natural Trends are doing a neat like kind of wellness gift box. So there's all sorts of goodies in there. So we'll give you some more details on those as the day goes on. But all you have to do to be entered to win is go out on the show and chat with some of the suppliers, and you will automatically be entered. And the other thing that we're going to be giving away at the end of the day is a $50 Amazon gift card. The contest for this has ended, but we had a Wordle contest going on. All you had to do was post your Wordle scores on our PromoShow page for the past week. And for every day you did it, you get another entry. So we'll be doing that. And I figured for those people who would like an extra chance at winning, don't you always like an extra chance?
I love extra credit. Absolutely.
So, all you need to do, and this is for those people who are like actually listening to us, Brandon, because nobody else would know how to get an extra chance. So if you haven't tuned us out, you can email content@promoshow.com and just tell us what you do to take care of your body, mind, or soul. Doesn't have to be all of them, just one thing that you do to take care of yourself. And that will automatically get you an extra entry in our drawings at the end of the day. So that's all I have.
Beautiful. That is so awesome. You guys stay tuned. We've got a bunch of amazing things coming up. So Lori and I, actually, I don't think Lori will see you at noon. I will see you at, noon is the fix.
Noon.
Yeah, noon is the fix. That is correct. All right. So I will see Lori and I will see you at noon for the picks of the week. Until then, go have fun chatting with those suppliers that are down there. If you do have any issues with any of the system or anything that you're using, there's a little chat button in the upper right-hand corner of your browser. Click that, and we've got a bunch of tech guys standing behind to help you navigate through the show. But that's going to do it for right now. We'll see you guys here in about 40 minutes.